Transitioning to our third question, which is why should we be asking questions to begin with? And why are we even focusing on questions? And before we provide our answer to this, I forgot to mention in the intro that our number one goal of these videos is to actually work with you one-on-one or in small focus group workshop settings, because that is what Google and YouTube might not be able to do for you. And that is where we can genuinely hear your voice and what you might be going through. So please come find us at the Teaching and Learning Center virtually through Canvas, through the Student Support Portal, Tutoring Hub, or once lockdown ends in the actual Teaching and Learning Center. The sole purpose of these videos is not just like a fireside chat. We don't have the fire anyway. It is for you to get to see how we think and who we are, so you can come in and meet us and get your problems addressed or get your stories heard. So again, the question is, why are we focusing on questions, and why should we be asking questions to begin with? And maybe Catherine, you can lead this one.
Yeah. I think for me personally, the reason that I'm so interested in questions is because when I was a student, and even still now, I actually have a lot of trouble being able to recall information that I have read. So it's really difficult for me to read something and then to be able to sort of re-summarize what I just read. But what I found was a way for me to sort of remember more clearly what I had read, was to start asking questions of it, because I would remember the questions that I was asking, even if I didn't totally remember the content of what someone else had said. So on a personal note, it was a way for me to kind of affirm to myself, like, yes, I did do the reading, even if I can't recite on command everything that this author was saying, I did engage with this in some way, and I can share with you the questions that came out of my experience reading it. I think that another reason to be asking questions is because there's just so much information that is missing from texts that we think are authoritative. And I think through questioning, we can make those gaps and those silences visible, and we can begin to insert ourselves into that discussion and that dialogue. And I think that's really important. I think that we're taught to think that the texts that we read are really authoritative, but they're one perspective, and I think we have a lot to offer. We bring our experiences, we bring our insights, and I think questions are one way for us to immediately show that there are different ways of looking at texts or information.
Yes, to what you just said. I think in our current political climate and our current civic unrest, we are seeing some of the manifestations of systems and injustices that have not been challenged. And it's not to say, as a student, if you begin questioning, will you find immediate answers? And it's not to say, if you design a career in social work, will you find systemic answers? But the reality is, what I see in every single one of my classes and every single one of my relationships with students, from a tutoring to a mentorship level, is that students are hungry to learn. And what Catherine shared here is, asking questions help me learn, right? And there's actual science behind when we ask questions to whatever is being presented to us, we engage in active listening or active reading. And if you want the citations to the science, I'm happy to share those with you. You can contact me and we can talk through that. But back in the context of classes. We want to get A's in our classes. We want to get our education, and that is our mutual goal. So, how can we leverage the power of questions to make the most out of every lecture, to make the most out of every seminar, to make the most out of every assignment or assessment? That is what we are hoping, or we are inviting you to consider in just like not being afraid, right? Like I think many of us have worked with kids, or we've all been a kid at some point, and we've always been very curious about how things work, how things came to be. And while all of those questions may not be addressed in each of our classes, we can choose the ones that we do address and that we do inquire a little bit further, all while getting a little bit closer towards that A. So that ends our segment on questions. We, again, would love to work with you, would love to meet you and hear you, because we are here for you. This YouTube video is, if you take one thing away from our YouTube videos, that is what we hope you take away. Any final thoughts, Catherine?
I mean, I'll just reiterate what Henry was saying. We're really excited to work with you. And, you know, we've been talking about asking questions, but part of asking questions is engaging in dialogue with each other. So we're really excited to have those conversations as you are thinking about, you know, what your meaningful questions are going to be on your academic journey.
That's exactly right. Dialogue is such an important way for us to learn, and I see no productive dialogue on social media. I see minimal productive dialogue in class discussion forums. So, this is our rethink to not only advocate for ourselves, but advocate for our peers, and thinking about some of the larger, more meaningful learning objectives that we can set for ourselves in our classes. Okay, until next time, bye.